channel. My name is Jared. Of course, I'm going to give it a little bit of time for people to get in here because this is a live stream. Just got a haircut. Wish I could get a haircut every single day. I could try and cut my own hair, but I'll just pay for haircuts. When I was in the Army, I didn't want to have to pay for haircuts, and I wanted to have a very clean-cut look every time I had my helmet or patrol cap on. And so I just shaved my head once a week. Because I wasn't about to pay like $14, every couple weeks for a haircut. That just... So I just took the easy route. If you're here, please give the video a like. It helps push it out. It recommends it to more people. Let me know that you're here, where you're from. Jenica, of course, is in the store right now picking up some stuff. But I had this one thing on my mind. I don't know, maybe it's in relation to this dream that I had somewhat recently. But I thought it'd be a good thing to share. Just a good inspirational thought I'd like to share with everybody. I've got 8 people here. Hopefully more join. I'm gonna wait just for a few more minutes. I did a joint interview with Caitlin with Anticipating Christ's Return, and that's going to come out tomorrow morning. So look out for that. We compiled our favorite President Nelson quotes about the Second Coming, and it was a really good interview. So that'll come out tomorrow morning. Seagull Lily is here. Hey Jared. Diana Tewalt from Boise, Idaho. And sorry, Seagull, where are you from, if you don't mind me asking? Put where you're from in the chat. I am currently in Oklahoma. We kind of live in this border town, and so it's like everything, like all the big shopping, all the big stores are an hour away from us, whether we come down to Oklahoma or we go up to Wichita, or there's a few other places. Seagull Lily says Ontario currently, Utah originally. Bob D is here, Meridian, Idaho. Okay, well, I will just get into it. So, this was maybe like a week or two ago. I had a dream where it's like, in the dream I was like really stressed out. And I guess I was like on some kind of medication, so I went to this like pharmacy area, and they gave me like a bag that had like bottles of pills. It was like my regular medication, and so I grabbed that. And then they gave me another bag, but it was like it was full of what looked like illegal substances, basically. And I was like, what? And I took it, and then there wasn't much more to the dream. I mean, there was like more, but that was like the main thing that stuck out to me when I woke up. I'm like, I don't like that. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about how, life at times can get really stressful and kind of harsh. Last year in particular was a pretty bad year for me. I know I've said that a number of times on the channel. This year has been much better, but there have been some downs and some obstacles. And, I think the point of the dream was you can handle the stresses in your life the healthy way, or you can do it the not so healthy way. For example, turning to addictions, or even things like comfort food. Some people, when they're feeling depressed, they're feeling stressed, they turn to food, which, that can be okay occasionally, but if it's like a chronic thing, then it's not good for you. You're going to put on a lot of weight and increase your risk for heart disease and other things. Obesity brings with it a bunch of risk factors. And the thought that I had today that kind of goes along with that is, when I joined the Army, like, I don't know if it would have made a difference if I was younger. I joined when I was a little bit older. I was like in my late 20s. And I went to basic training. And I was really disturbed by the other soldiers and how it seemed like they were so attached and so addicted to different substances before they joined. Because in basic training, you can't drink, you can't smoke. There's nothing like that. But you had these soldiers that just like really had a hard time, I think, not having that stimulation. You know, basic training is a very stressful experience, both mentally and physically, maybe even spiritually. And so there's not like a whole lot to turn to except for all the exercise that you get working off your stress, but it kind of just actually adds to your stress, all the stuff that you're doing. And so there were a couple weird things that happened. The first thing that I noticed was you were able to go to the exchange or the PX, like the stores on base, when you were allowed to buy stuff, and you could get like cough drops, or you could go to the doctor, say that you have a sore throat, and then they can prescribe you cough drops, I think is how it went. So people would turn to cough drops, and cough drops would be the new tobacco, like chewing tobacco, or replacement for smoking or drinking. It was very strange. I never had that urge. Again, I don't know that I don't think it had to do with my age. I just think it had to do with the fact that I'm a member of the church. I've never done any of those things in my entire life, so I've never had like a dependency on that kind of stuff. So they would turn to cough drops, and then I think if you got a prescription, then you could get like the cherry flavored cough drops. Like otherwise you got just like the bland, like non-flavor, and that's like what they preferred that you have. But I guess if you had a prescription, you could get the cherry flavored ones. So that's what everybody like coveted. So I thought that was really strange, and it was like really sad. Just this like dependency on these substances to soothe you, you know. Of course, some of it was probably just flat out addiction, but some of it may have been just like wanting something that was soothing. There was another time that there was this soldier who, his father was in the Army, and he was an officer. I think he was like a major or something like that. And this soldier who was in basic training with us, so when you're in basic training, ideally you just go through the process and then you graduate, and then you move on to your technical school called AIT, and then after that you go to your unit. Well, if you don't do so well in basic training, then they may recycle you and you have to like go back and start over. And this can happen typically like if you have an injury, you know, because you can't move on to your next unit or school or whatever if you're injured. You have to be fixed up first. And so you'd have these this group of soldiers, I think they called them like holdovers or something like that, and they would basically do nothing all day except for like maybe go clean or just do menial tasks. But they were allowed like some more privileges, like they could go and buy candy at the exchange, you know, at the gas station or the store, the convenience store. So they would go and buy like Skittles or chocolate bars, and this guy, he decided it was worth it for him to pay them an inflated price, like $5 for a pack of Skittles. And then he got caught because you're not supposed to be eating candy until they tell you that you can in basic training. So you had these like little opportunists that were selling retail candy with this like markup in price, and people that were willing to pay for it to satisfy their like cravings and to soothe themselves, I guess. And I thought it was really sad, and it was like an embarrassment for him because everybody knew that his dad was like a major. Okay, and then later, after basic training, you saw that behavior continue. And of course, this is like throughout the entire world, but like especially in the military, the entire thing is a very stressful process. Not just basic training, not just AIT, just the nature of the job. It's very stressful. And so, you know, it's a common sight to see a bunch of soldiers just like sitting outside the company, like in the back area, smoking, you know, or chewing tobacco. There's always like, you can always count at any given time a soldier chewing tobacco or smoking or drinking an energy drink or whatever, whatever it is. And so there's like a really big problem. Well, I never partook in any of that, and I found my own ways to de-stress and not turn to those kinds of substances. And I was all the better for it, you know, and it was just sad to see everybody else and how they just seem so dependent, like hopelessly dependent on these things. But, you know, just because we're members of the church doesn't mean that we don't engage in the same type of stuff. It may not be with alcohol, it may not be with tobacco, but there definitely are other things that are not good for us that we shouldn't do. And I myself have been trying to kick the habit of drinking so much Coke. Like, I'm not gonna like throw out soda or energy drinks altogether, but it's been a little bit too much. And I'd suspect that some of you are probably in the same boat when it comes to drinking soda or overeating, or it may not even have to do with your diet. It's just like some kind of not good habit that you're in. So I think we really need to like look at ourselves and not be like these soldiers that just were never really taught right, and we're just almost like puppets of these different industries, the tobacco industry, alcohol. It's really sad. We don't want to be like that. We want to be free. And President Nelson has recently said that we need to be willing to give up our favorite sins, for example. And he's talked about addiction recently, not this last general conference, but I think it was the one before that. He was talking about addiction. And you know, I don't know that there's an easy way to overcome those things other than to find support. You know, admit your problem and get people to support you, and then just find other things to replace whatever it is that you're doing, the bad thing that you're doing. And I think that I'm doing a live stream really quick. Okay. And that's something that's on my mind as we approach the second coming. You know, President Holland said that when Christ comes, he needs to recognize us as his. And that's all fine and great. I don't think that we have to be perfect, but I do wonder how we're going to feel if we come to him and we have this like addiction to something, or we've like allowed ourselves to just continue in bad habits, you know? So I think it's hard. I think you have to find things to replace, like healthy things to replace the bad things. And that may take effort on your part and creativity, which takes effort. And the natural man does not like effort. The natural man wants to be lazy and take the path of the least resistance. But we need to rise above our natural man and proactively try and change our lives. So that was my thought for today. Let me go through some of the chat here. Sheila Harding from Alabama, dear friend. Goblin from St. George, Utah, who had the opportunity to attend the Red Cliffs, Utah temple earlier this afternoon. Good job. That's a good thing to do instead of some unhealthy habit. Go to the temple. Spend time outside. Get into a hobby. You know, that's one thing I feel like I've needed to do. That I've needed to find like a hobby, get interested in something. I'm kind of like, and I'm not like bragging. I feel like I'm kind of like the reverse of people that are like. There's been a lot of warnings about being distracted by things of the world. I feel like my life has become too stale, and I need to do something to keep me engaged. I don't have a problem with distractions, I can promise you that. But I think finding good, healthy hobbies and endeavors is good. Jesus is the only way. Hello from Alaska. Good looking Jedi, New Zealand. Just saw your live, but watching from the start. Cat McDwa, or Cat McDWA. Hello from Washington. Goblin points out the word of wisdom. Says, I know there are addiction of all the sorts of things. Chocolate is my biggest addiction. Yeah, you can be addicted to chocolate, candy, just because it's not specifically laid out in the word of wisdom. Like we should know when we're not being moderate and we're overindulging in something. On my mission, that was the first time I ever saw Nutella. It was in the Madrid MTC, and they had this like gigantic bowl of it, because in Spain is a bunch of chocolate fiends, and Nutella is pretty big over there, or at least it was back in 2004 to 2006. And I would just take like a big thing of Nutella and make a Nutella sandwich, and it was really bad. Anyway, we can't do those gross, disgusting things to soothe ourselves. We need to find healthier things. Patsy Reinhardt, hi from Blackfoot, Idaho. GK Ver 65, hello from Syracuse, Utah. Kat says that she's a health nut. Anticipating Christ's return is here. Caitlin, watch out for our video tomorrow, you guys. We did an interview today. We struggled a little bit in the beginning, but we did eventually get to making a video. Diana Tewalt waves with a pink hand. Yashoda Didi, hi from Croatia, Europe. You know what? Joni, the Joyous Genealogist channel, look her up. She's in my featured channels. She has Croatian ancestry. You might want to connect with her. Chris Johnson, I lost 40 pounds just from stopping soda. Yeah. Jay, truth is the only way. Hello from Gaza. Are you really from Gaza? Are you really? That I'd be beyond fascinated if you were. Yashoda Didi, health is a result of harmony in us due to faith in God. And then Lizzieisms, it says, greetings from Oklahoma City. I am actually in Enid right now, Enid, Oklahoma. So I'm in Oklahoma right now, Lizzieisms. So yeah, anyway, if you missed the first part of the video, so I just talked about how I saw just people in the army just turning to all these different things for to soothe themselves, to de-stress, and it like these like dependencies on these different substances. Before I talked about that, I talked about the fact that I had this dream recently where in the dream I was just like stressed out, and I went to this like pharmacy counter, and they had two bags for me. They had one that had regular prescription medication, and there was another one that had like what looked like just illegal drugs. And and I woke up with the feeling that there are things in my life that I turn to that might as well be like those kind of drugs. Like obviously they're not like dangerous like that, but the same effect, the effect of addiction and just bad stuff. I feel like it was like a little warning. And so I'm working to make some changes in my life. I really feel like we need to just do the best that we can to be prepared for when the Savior comes. Because you don't want to be in his presence, and he knows your life. The atonement is infinite. In some kind of way, in the past, he was able to atone for your sins in the future. So I can only assume that he knows the future and the decisions that we're going to make. Not that there's determinism, but I think that time doesn't quite work the way that we think that it does. So whatever the case, you're standing in front of the Savior. You have a chance to like shake his hand or something at the second coming. He knows you and recognizes you, and he knows your deepest, darkest secrets, the things that you hide from the world. I think one of the things about living in the family unit is you see your family members and you're privy to some of those private things that go on that the rest of the world doesn't see. Everybody else just assumes like, oh yeah, this person is like just perfect. They're an exemplary citizen and member of the church, and maybe they are, but they're not privy to what's going on behind the scenes. And sometimes people put on a fake facade. Other people, we may be genuine, but people still aren't privy to your private life. But Christ is. He knows what's going on. So again, it's not that we have to be like perfect, but we should try and root those things out. I tend to think that when President Nelson said that, like, he was talking about the Salt Lake Temple and how it's being renovated, and how he saw them removing the old debris of like a fountain that was there. He said that we need to remove the old debris from our lives. And I tend to think that that's probably a lot of what he's talking about, are little addictions, or again, I'm thinking about like addictions, but there's probably just other things, like the way that you deal with people, for example. Maybe you're like way too harsh when you deal with people. You don't have enough love, mercy in your heart. Like that's a big problem, So, I'm always trying to improve, and improvement requires change, and you have to leave old things behind, and it's a process. A lot of times it doesn't happen right away. It's like after repeated attempts, or like just little by little, you get stronger and stronger in whatever you're trying to do. And that's just how it is. But, I would do a call out and a challenge to you. If there's something that you need to stop doing, do it now, especially with all these signs that we have that the second coming seems to be close. Do it now. Take care of that stuff. Do your best to ensure that you're going to be invited to the wedding feast, and then when you are there, there's nothing too embarrassing that's in your closet. Okay. Chris Johnson, when I was active duty Air Force, I was put up on the Fat Boy program more than once. After retirement, I ballooned up to 370 pounds. It's been a long, hard battle, but worth it. Yeah. Well, isn't that just the typical story of most veterans, Chris? Not all. Some of them do a good job after the service, but there are a lot that just are there like, okay, that's enough exercise for the rest of my life. And that's how I felt. I was like, okay, I am done. I'm not going to run ever again, because the Army in particular is really big on running. I was done with running. Valerie Morgan, hello from Mesquite, Nevada. By the way, the Mesquite Old Mill Ward is sending a sister missionary to Kansas. Oh, cool. Well, hopefully she comes to the Wichita mission. We just recently got some sisters in our ward. Now we have a couple of elders, and we have a couple of sister missionaries. This whole time that we've lived here, it's just been elders until recently. Catherine Visker, hope, healing, and the destroying. Okay, Hope, Healing, and the Destroying Angel. The Word of Wisdom by Cassidy and Jordan Gunderson is a good book to read. They have some insightful ideas regarding following the Word of Wisdom. Very cool. Wendy Ray, brain-wise, if I reward myself every time I'm stressed, my brain will go to stress more often because there's a reward, right? I don't know. Is that how it works? I don't know. Lizzieisms, we tend not to have a lot of compassion for ourselves over these things. Do the best you can and put your faith in the atonement of Christ. Expect to see miracles. Yeah. Just like anything in life, I feel like the things that are the most value, such as living a good life, or having success with whatever, some endeavor, it usually takes a lot of time, and it takes many, many small steps and persistence. I feel like that's the key formula to any sort of success. It's hard, it's little steps, it's frequent steps, it's consistency, and just determination. And over time, you eventually get to where you want to go. Kat McDwa says, my dad could still put on his Green Beret uniform at age 60. And then showing off her muscles through an emoji. Or his muscles. That's awesome. Artful Dodger, hi Jared. Hi Artful. Valerie Morgan, I believe she is coming to Wichita. Okay, cool. Look out for Sister Hanson. Will do. That's awesome. I'm glad that she's going on a mission. Speaking of missions, me and Caitlin are going to do we're going to try and do like a joint live stream talking about our missions. We were going to try and do it today, but I couldn't figure it out. I thought that there's a way to do it just through the YouTube website, but I couldn't find it. So you can look forward to that in the future if that's something that interests you. Okay, well, I better go. So let's just keep improving upon ourselves, you guys. Let's focus on the things that matter. All this stuff with the second coming, it matters. Prophecy, it matters. The growth of the church, it matters. But what really matters is that we look inside of ourselves and we make sure that we individually are doing what we need to do, and that we're disciples of Christ, that we're treating our bodies right, our families right, our friends, everybody, treat everybody right and with love and respect and charity. And also watch out for deception. Like we need to work on ourselves. So, okay, well, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, and I'll talk to you guys later.